concise, and accurate. This is the DBS Evening News. Here now is your presenter with the headlines.
In the headlines, the Ministry of Education says it remains committed to ensuring every child has access to education and opportunities in Dominica. In news from the region, the United Nations, the UN, warns that Haiti crisis is at a new low as gang violence spreads. And internationally, Iran launches ballistic missiles at Israel in retaliation for Israel's overnight strikes. Good evening, welcome to the DBS Evening News. The details of these and other stories coming up.
It's the energy of we people, something pulsing inside. It beating every soul, a feeling we cannot. It's always pushing us forward, the limit up in the sky. There's rhythm in how we flow, a rhythm that can't be denied. It's in the feeling in how we talk. It's in the meaning in our spark. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are, 'cause the rhythm of life keeps bumping.
DBS News.
Welcome back to the DBS Evening News. We welcome listeners on Acoustics Worship Radio. The Ministry of Education says it remains committed to ensuring every child has access to education and opportunities in Dominica. The remarks were made during a special education needs rally and fun day today. The rally was organized by the Government of Dominica and the OECS Pearl program through the Ministry of Education.
Today is dedicated to raising awareness, fostering inclusion, as our theme puts it, breaking barriers, building bridges, and most importantly, having fun. Today is a day of unity and empowerment, a day where we amplify voices, break down barriers, and reaffirm the Ministry of Education's commitment to ensuring every student, regardless of their ability, has access to support, education, and opportunities they deserve. And this is what the Ministry of Education is doing. It is about recognizing the unique talents within every individual and creating a world where differences are embraced, not diminished. Let us learn and engage with each other. Let us pledge to be champions for a future where education is not limited to circumstances, but uplifted by compassion, innovation, and dedication, as is done here today. Together, we are shaping a world where every child's potential is celebrated, nurtured, and given the space to thrive.
Focal point for special education needs in Dominica for the OECS Pearl, Nutris Francis. A top official of the local government department has given government high marks for its focus on housing. Local government commissioner Glenroy Tuse says government's housing program has ensured fewer residents will be at hurricane shelters if a hurricane were to threaten Dominica this year.
I want to really commend the government of Dominica for its approach in terms of building the housing stock in Dominica and making our people more resilient. I mean, from Maria to now, government has built thousands of homes by way of individual homes and apartment buildings that have created a sort of atmosphere of safety and resilience for our community members. And it's on that basis that every year we are seeing an improvement in terms of our shelter and shelter stock. So we are much better this year than we were in 2024. And similarly, we were much better in 2024 than we were in 2023. And just to give you some data, why I think it's important for us to understand the significant role that government has played in terms of building our housing stock and improving and enhancing our shelter potential and our shelter capacity. Every year we are seeing a massive reduction in the number of people who are to be sheltered. For example, This year, close to 400 less people will require to be sheltered by the state, and that is very significant. We are comparing that to last year, for example, we see about 250, but this year, really, that is significant. I mean, close to 400 people. And so it means, therefore, a lot of those persons were, importantly, some of the people have improved their homes, but importantly, too, that the government has assisted in terms of, I think, sometime last year, towards late last year, a number of people were, given the keys for their homes, particularly in the Kalinago territory. So that has caused the reduction.
Glenroy Toussaint says Dominica's shelter capacity is encouraging.
So in last year, 2024, we had 3,570 people. And this year we have like 3,225 people. So that is almost 400. The difference is 400 less people to be sheltered. And we go into the whole issue of shelter capacity. You're talking about the capacity nationally. So we have our shelter capacity in Dominica nationally is much greater than the number of persons who need to be sheltered. So you're talking about, we are moving from 7,960, that's our national shelter capacity, to 7,820 nationally in 2025. But you're talking of in 2025, you only have to, in essence, state shelters, 3,225 people. So overall, the shelter capacity in Dominica is overwhelming, and I think that can be attributed in every sense to the extreme work of the state, of the government, in terms of ensuring that we boost the shelter stock. Of course, that is also, amplified with the 3 emergency regional shelters that we have in Jimit, Layu, and Casibros. And of course, that boosts shelter capacity. So we are much better positioned this year than we were in 2024, and we continue to make progress.
Local Government Commissioner Glenroy Toussaint. Acting Manager of DBS Radio, Curtis Matthew, is calling for greater recognition of employees across Dominica. His call came during the Long Service Award ceremony to 12 employees of the national broadcaster this morning at the Fort Young Hotel.
For me, today is a dream come true. I always wanted to find a way to recognize these men and women who have stayed with DBS Radio over so many years. When I was appointed acting manager in December last year, I realized that an opportunity came to make that dream become a reality. I want to thank you for accepting to be here to receive these awardees. I'm very happy that you took some time off to be here to receive these awards. What I would like to see the awards do is for a culture to emerge in which institutions and business places in Dominica pay more attention to their employees. I hope the awards will also inspire the recipients to continue to take ownership of DBS Radio, especially at a time when social media continues to challenge radio stations in Dominica and abroad. I also hope that these awards will serve as inspiration for our young broadcasters to see hard work and excellence as key for success in the field of broadcasting.
Acting Manager of DBS Radio, Curtis Matthew. The Long Service Awards were presented to Manager Cecil Joseph, Seasoned Broadcaster Stephen Dangleben, Programs Director Ivona John Baptist Luge, Chief Engineer, Chief Technician Dean Thomas, Sales Officer Shama Lazar and Avanel George, Payables Officer Juliana Sampson, Sales and Marketing Manager Lynthia Bellot, Special Announcer Ambassador Leroy Prince Wadix Charles, Cashier Joan Henderson, and Receivables Officer Angelita Dover. Sports Editor Gavin Richards also received a special award for his excellent coverage of the Paris Olympic Games in 2024. Another special award went to Creole broadcaster and head of the language department, Kiwana Fountain Wilson. The acting manager, Curtis Matthew, was also recognized for his 38 years of service to the national broadcaster DBS Radio. Stephen Dangleben, who began his service to DBS Radio in 1985, stands as the national broadcaster's longest-serving staff member. He thanked the staff of DBS and the listeners for supporting him over the last 40 years.
I just want to say a big thank you to the Almighty God for giving me life this morning and for being here. And I want to say a big thank you to Curtis Matthew for this award. Curtis, thank you very much. You and I have been at DBS for a very long time, and we have had a very good working relationship. So I want to thank you very much, Curtis, for making this possible for this award. And I want to thank the members of staff of DBS who have supported me over the years. Everybody who have given me tremendous support, thank you very much. To the board of directors, thank you very much. And to our many listeners, who have interacted with over the years and who have given me tremendous support over the years, thank you very much. I do not know how long I'm going to be here at DBS again. I don't know. But I will do my best to uphold the profession and the level of professionalism and to work for the betterment of the nation station.
Recipient of the DBS Radio Long Service Award, Stephen Dangleben, sports editor Gavin Richards received a special award for his coverage of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, thanked his family for their continued support and vowed to keep representing DBS Radio to the best of his ability.
I just want to thank God for giving me the health and strength to do what I do on a daily basis. I also like to thank my wife, Natisa Richards, the rest of my family, Jalen and Paris Richards, because it takes a lot to do what I do, and it takes me away from them for long periods of time. And they have always stood by my side to support my dreams, and without them, I wouldn't be here this morning. Also to my mom, who's not here, but I know she's always smiling down on me. I remember when I got to the Olympics the first time, I broke down, but I just knew that she was watching from above. So your son made it, and your son still has a lot more to go. And my dad as well. Dad, thank you as well. That's my father, Peter Richards. Like I always tell people, I've always wanted to represent Dominica in sports, but I wasn't the best sportsman, but I got an opportunity to do so in media. So I'd like to thank all of those for that. And of course, the sportsmen and sportswomen, because without them, I would have nothing to report on. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to report on your successes and your stories and share it with the rest of Dominica. I will always continue to keep on doing my best for DBS Radio. Like I always said, when I walked through the doors of DBS Radio, I knew that DBS was the pinnacle of broadcasting, not just in Dominica, but the entire OECS, the Caribbean, I would dare say too. And I'm just happy that I'm able to play my part in keeping DBS on top as the #1 broadcaster in the Caribbean.
Special DBS Radio Awards recipient, sports editor Gavin Richards. Senior Met Officer Itoma James has called on Dominicans not to become complacent during the hurricane season. He says the public may be drawn into a false sense of comfort since Dominica has not been impacted by a hurricane since Maria in 2017.
They should not take the forecast or what has happened in the last few years. Don't let that, lull us to sleep and not prepare as we should, because we haven't had any major impacts in the last few years. And the forecast hasn't really changed that much. For the last few years, we have been forecasted to have above normal seasons. And this year, we expect the forecast to be the same again. Well, the forecast is the same again for an above normal season. That is, we expect there to be 13 to 19 named storms. Of that, 6 to 10 of them could become hurricanes and 3 to 5 major hurricanes. There is a 60% chance of the season being above normal, 30% of it being about normal, and just 10% of it being below normal. Again, we have to understand that the forecast doesn't necessarily tell you where any storm will make landfall, or how many storms will make landfall. It is really just a prediction as to how many storms can possibly form within the active area for us, which is the Atlantic Basin. So with that information, we have to understand that we're talking about probabilities. There's a chance that we could get something happening. There's a chance that nothing could happen. There's a chance that we could have 25 storms and none of them impact us, and there could be 2, and all 2 of them impact us.
Senior Met Officer Itoma James. Minister for National Security Reuben Blackmore is advocating for heavy punishment for those found guilty with murder and those who interfere with minors. Mr. Blackmore's comments came while announcing new plans for rehabilitation of the Dominica State Prison.
What we are trying to accomplish as a policy of the government is to relook at the prisons. It should not be looked at from a one-dimensional standpoint, strictly to incarcerate people. You know what incarcerate means? And certainly, there are some inmates who are at the prison setting who ought to be there for a long time by virtue of the gravity of the crimes they have committed. Somebody who premeditates and takes a human life need to spend his or her life behind bars. And we're a very kind society, and the laws are on our books, but the law still makes provision for execution for the offense of murder. Those who actually molest, especially minors, ought to rot in jail. I've been advised we still have the cat o' nine tail at the prisons. And when you impose yourself on a minor, you have changed that person's life, that innocent life, forever. And then if you're incarcerated, you should have a tough time. And the cat o' nine tail is so dangerous, you can only get it once per year. And then the effects would last for at least 6 months. Maybe we want to look at that for certain offenses. But having said that, the majority of people who come to prison ought to be given a second chance. And when they leave the prison setting, therefore, they ought to be better individuals, ready and equipped to contribute towards mainstream society.
Minister for National Security, Rayburn Blackmore, taking us to the end of the local news. We'll be right back with regional and international highlights.
It's the energy of we people, something pulsing inside. It beating every soul, a feeling we cannot. It's always pushing us forward, the limit up in the sky. There's rhythm in how we flow, a rhythm that can't be denied. It's in the feeling in how we talk. It's in the meaning in our spark. It is the thing that sets us apart, who we are. 'Cause the rhythm of life keeps bumping.
DBS News.
In news from the region, the United Nations UN Human Rights Office has raised alarm over worsening violence in Haiti as gangs expand their reach beyond the capital Port-au-Prince into central regions, carrying out killings, kidnappings, and sexual violence. In a statement, the United Nations Human Rights Chief said at least 2,680 people, including 54 children, were killed between 1st of January and 30th of May 2025. Nearly 1,000 were injured and more than 300 kidnapped, and a record 1.3 million people are now displaced. The UN Human Rights Chief said gangs attacks were also fueling further instability across the region, while a rise in self-defense and vigilante groups has led to additional abuse. Internationally, Iran has launched ballistic missiles at Israel as its supreme leader vows to inflict heavy blows in retaliation for Israel's overnight strikes. A BBC reporter has described hearing an explosion in Jerusalem as black smoke was seen rising over Tel Aviv's skyline. Earlier today, the Iran Defense Force said Revolutionary Guard Chief Hussein Salami and other senior military figures were assassinated, while Iran says 6 scientists have also been killed. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iran to make a deal on its nuclear program, warning of even more brutal Israeli attacks. Iran has accused the U.S. of supporting Israel's strikes, which the U.S. has denied. We've come to the end of the evening news. The best of sports comes up next.
Covering the nation and beyond. DBS Sports Report.
Rudolph
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fence pipe, and Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Welcome to the evening sports. Let's bowl off with some cricket news. A century stand between South African captain Temba Bavuma and Aiden Markram has put South Africa in the driver's seat as they push to win the World Test Championships against Australia. South Africa chasing 282 to win with 213 for 2 at stumps on day 3. Bavuma was not out on 65. Markram unbeaten on 102. The partnership is 143. Scores at the end of day 3. Australia 212 and 297, South Africa 138 and 213 for 2. South Africa needs 69 more runs to win. In some more cricket, this time from the local scene, coordinator of the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament, Liam Sebastian, has described the cancellation of the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament as a major blow for Dominica's cricket. The tournament was cancelled Thursday after negotiations to delay the start of the lighting project at Windsor Park were unsuccessful. Sebastian says this is a major setback for the Dominica Cricket Association.
Well, I mean, it's a blow for us as the DCA. It's a blow with Dream 11, although we try to cushion that blow with Dream 11. What will happen, it may mean that we will be stretched to host the tournament contractually in a time frame that is suitable for both parties. As you know, the cricket calendar is very, very filled in different years. But I think it's a bigger loss for Dominica than all of those places, because there's so many people who stand to benefit from this. And one of the things that we do is to market this tournament as, you know, sports tourism. So we market it mainly as Dominica. And I think we are maybe one of the only countries that host Dream 11 who push their country as a destination in that. So I believe from our point of view, we are really disappointed, although we will say that nobody or none of the DCA members wanted the project to stop or we're not welcoming the lighting project. But we just believe it's a big loss for our country nonetheless.
Sebastian says the Benjamin's Park at Portsmouth was not an option.
Take, for instance, Benjamin's Park is an open venue, so we have no control of what will happen. Also, the production that has to happen, there has to be fiber installed, there have to be platforms have to be installed. In terms of we have to get PA systems, we have to get a number of tents, toilet facilities. There's so much that would have to happen to even have a chance to host it. Also, we talk about the drainage at Benjamin's Park is not suitable for such tournament in the hurricane season, because for those who don't know, any games that are lost, the next tournament that you host, Dream 11, you have to add those games, which comes at an expense. So there's so many factors that had to be considered to host this tournament, and Benjamin's Park was just not feasible when you look at, and I just mentioned some of them. There are many more that you can add on to that for Benjamin's Park or any other facility in Dominica besides the stadium.
Coordinator of the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament, Liam Sebastian. A spot in the finals of the KFC National Volleyball Leagues are on the line this weekend as the competition heads into Game 2 of the semi-finals. Defending women's champions, the Acers, will be looking to punch their ticket into the finals when they come up against Celtics in Game 2 of their 3-match series. Acers lead 1-0 following a straight sets win over the Celtics in the first game. That match is scheduled for 6 p.m. on Saturday at the Massac Indoor Facility. Meantime, the Sunrise Men's Division 1 team can earn another trip into the finals with a win over R&D Academy. Sunrise are leading that series 1-0. That game scheduled for 8 p.m. on Saturday, while at 4 p.m. Saturday, R&D's Division 2 side can advance into the finals with a win over Sunrise Division 2 team. On Sunday, defending men's champion Club 1 will take on the Young Vets in Game 2 of their series. Club 1 are leading 1-0. Sunday will also see Game 2 in the Club 1 versus Sunrise Women's Series and Game 2 in the Breakers versus Club 1 Division 2 semi-finals. Into some international athletics with our Olympic gold medalist, a 5th place finish for Thea Gadsden in the women's triple jump event at the Diamond League in Oslo, Norway yesterday. Gadsden, who is still seeking to find her top form following surgery last year after the Olympics, jumped 14.26 meters, her best jump yesterday. The meet was won by Leyanis Hernandez Perez of Cuba, who jumped 14.72 meters. Shanika Ricketts of Jamaica jumped 14.57 meters for second place. Jasmine Moore of the USA 14.41 meters for third place. 8 jumpers took part in the event. The result leaves Thea in second place overall in the Diamond League, standing on 17 points. Jamaica's Shanika Ricketts leads with 23 points. A national champion will be crowned this weekend as the Dominica Cycling Association stages its national race. The 70-mile-long race takes place on Sunday. President of the Dominica Cycling Association, Ronald Charles, says this will be the cyclists' toughest race for the season.
This race is going to be very challenging. It's a national race and it will be recognized by the UCI, which is our governing body. The results of such races are sent to them. So it's an important race, and that is where you become the national champion based on that race. So we're looking forward to it. We are aware that notwithstanding it will be a tough race, but we know that the cyclists will, the riders, they will give it their best. It's from Maboid Bar to Portsmouth Cabrits, back down to Point Michel, and then up to the airport. That is the Kinfield Airport roundabout, and it ends by Maboid. It's approximately 70-mile race.
President of the Dominica Cycling Association, Ronald Charles. Let's move over to some football news right now. Petro-Caribe Point Michel and Promex Harlem United will renew their rivalry as the two neighbors clash this evening as the DFA Dominica Football Association Premier League resumes following the international break. Harlem are currently sitting in 7th place on 11 points in the point standings. Petro-Caribe Point Michel are in 8th place and 7 points and will be looking for all 3 points as they look to put some distance between themselves and 9th place DSFC. Harlem and Point Michel will meet at the DFA Technical Center tonight. Well, that game should be getting on in about 2 to 3 minutes time from 6:30. Dubla tops the point standings with 22 points, 5 points clear of Maho as we head into this week's round of matches. Still on some football, this time from the international FIFA scene, the Reggae Boys will meet the Soca Warriors as teams within CONCACAF battle it out in the next round of matches in the CONCACAF qualifiers for the FIFA World Cup. The 12 teams advancing now know their fate, following the official draw last night. Group A will see Panama, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Suriname. Group B comprises of Jamaica, Curacao, Trinidad, and Bermuda. Group C comprises of Costa Rica, Honduras, Haiti, and Nicaragua. The teams will play teams in their groups both home and away. The top 3 teams in each group will automatically qualify for the World Cup, while the 2 runners-ups will represent CONCACAF in the FIFA playoff tournament. Meantime, CONCACAF President and FIFA Vice President Victor Montagilani says the next year's World Cup will be the biggest sporting event in world history.
Next summer's World Cup promised to be more than a 48-team event spanning nearly 40 days. It will be a tournament that ignites passion across generations and highlights the best of CONCACAF to the world. Moreover, it presents an unprecedented opportunity for up to 8 of our national teams to participate in the Men's World Cup, a transformative chance for a beautiful game in North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. The 12 member associations that have advanced from the second round to the final round have all secured their right to compete for the coveted 3 direct berths in the tournament's group stage and the 2 playoff spots. Congratulations to each of you and every one of you. Your unwavering dedication and tireless efforts have guided you to this moment. I eagerly anticipate these exciting matches that will unfold later in the year as we witness who will join our co-hosts, Canada, Mexico, and the United States in next summer's event.
CONCACAF President and FIFA Vice President Victor Montagilani. The teams will join the USA, Canada, and Mexico as CONCACAF representatives in the next World Cup. Dominica did not make it to the round of 12 after finishing 4th in Group E of the group stages earlier this week. Well, we've come to the end of the evening's news right here on your nation station, DBS Radio. Thank you very much for joining us. On behalf of the entire news and sports department, I was your presenter this evening. My name is Joseph Fadul.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fence pipe. And Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized